Alrighty, so this is the first video in a 10-part series that I'm working on where I'm trying to amalgamate all of the trading info that I know and what I'm aware of and trying to basically condense all of the knowledge that I've learned over just about a year of trading, put it all into one spot. So I'll start with my history. I've been trading since the 24th of October in 2024. So that's about a year, or it's actually July 23rd. But so any day that is highlighted in red is going to be trading before swing trading, and then anything in yellow is with swing trading. So I've been swing trading for about 3 months now, a little bit under, but you can see my return here. I would say that my swing trading really started in May, the very beginning of May of this year. So as of right now, I'm looking at a personal return of 28.7% compared to SPY's 13.61 and Q's 17.30 respectively. On the right side here, you can see my portfolio gain slash loss throughout the entire history of my account. May 2025 is when my swing trading really started. So that is looking at that month, I was looking at a 12.61% return, and then the month after was 18.15. And then July 2025 is the current month. I'm currently having a not great month, but we're still looking at double SPY's return for over my period of swing trading. And I would say that me not having that great of a month right now is sort of what made me want to do the series, really pushed me to do it, because I think that outlining my strategy very concretely and very deliberately is something that's very helpful. The way that I think about it is similar to if you had to help somebody with a math problem or something like that. When you teach it to somebody else, it sort of helps you understand it a little bit better. So that's sort of the angle that I'm coming at this from. Throughout the series, I have three main sub goals essentially, and one is going to be to promote transparency. I think that the trading scene in general is something that's very cloudy, and I want to sort of be. I want to be in a position where I can be as transparent about where my info comes from, what I say, and my returns and performance in general, especially because my track record is very short. And then number two is condensing useful knowledge. I think I already said that already, but yeah, I think it's really important to have one place where you can view just about everything that you need to know in trading, at least from my perspective. And I think that that's super powerful. And then three is going to be providing high quality resources. If you were to look up trading or day trading on YouTube, you're going to see stuff that is very similar to like ICT concepts, and that's going to be way above your head as a beginner. And you're also just going to find a lot of really shady, really shady creators that are really sort of out there to take your money and push you towards something that they don't even really understand themselves. So I'll give a disclaimer once for the whole series, and the first thing is going to be that this is not financial advice. No part of this is me telling you where to put your money, and I'm not an expert on any of the subjects that I'm covering throughout the whole series. And then please be skeptical of everything that you see online. That's a really good general rule of thumb, but especially for trading or anything that deals with where you put your hard-earned money, you need to be skeptical of what everybody says. So even me, I'm going to try and be as forthcoming as possible about my information and what to do with it and how to use it, but don't take anything that I say as a blanket fact. And then I did not invent the style of trading that you're gonna learn about. This has been going on for ages and ages, and it's sort of just an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different trading styles from various people. And then I will use other creators' information throughout the series. So let's say, for example, somebody analyzed 1,000 breakout setups and they provided some statistics for it. Me going through and taking the time to really do that and do that would be helpful, but it's sort of not worth my time, even though the information is incredibly valuable. So I'm going to really try and cite my information when that's possible and really point you towards the creator who that originated from. Try and give them some credit, even though I think that the information is incredibly valuable and that it's worth being in here. So as far as transparency for me goes, I've got a spreadsheet that tracks every single detail about my stock trading. So in that spreadsheet, I've got my swing trading data, my all-time account trading data, and then gain slash loss by ticker, and then account balance tracking and transaction tracking. This spreadsheet is going to be publicly available to view in the description of every video of the series, hopefully. And feel free to pull it up, make a copy of the file if you want to use the spreadsheet for yourself. It's pretty convoluted, but I would say that it's the most comprehensive spreadsheet that you could possibly make for the style of trading that I do, and it sort of constantly evolves. It's a really nice project for me to work on. But so as far as my account funding history and just account history in general, At the tail end of November in 2023, my grandfather funded a UTMA Fidelity account with $3,500 as a gift. And his whole deal is that he just really loves the QQQs. It's like his instrument, and he really likes long-term contributions into that. So when this account started, it was really mainly just SPY and QQQ. And I didn't. He for the first year he matched any contribution that I made 1 to 1. So if I put in 100, he would put in 100. And so for the first year, I just sort of sat on it and just sort of threw whatever money I could into it to try and build the account. So by October, the tail end of October of the next year, so 2024, this is the first time that I ever opened Fidelity and really played around with the tools and looked at my holdings and really did anything with the account. And so this is what I was seeing. I had positions in Broadcom, MSCI, Microsoft, Nvidia, and then really just QQQ. If you can see the value column in here, you can see that just about the entirety of my account was in QQQ. And so after looking at that and talking with my dad about it, he sort of introduced me to AlphaPicks, which is it's a paid service where investors will pick one stock a month and sort of put it into a basket of stocks, and that's based off of fundamental and performance and growth metrics. But so this sort of introduced me to the picking individual stocks and not having to throw your money into something like an index where I could really pick where my money went, and that was really interesting to me. So this is sort of some screenshots from around that period of time. I'm doing some really, really weird shit with trend lines at the time. I don't even really know what's happening here. But so you can see that I was invested in Powell, Argan, Lending Club, some really basic momentum stocks here. But this is sort of what introduced me into trading as a whole. And then so during this time, I think I had a couple positions gap down on me overnight and really, really freak me out. And so I was looking more and more into day trading, just consuming more content in general. And day trading started to really appeal to me in the sense that you could hop into a stock that was moving fast and then just cash out right at the end of the day. And that really appealed to me. So I would say that November 15th or like mid November of 2024 is sort of when that started. And the only two resources that I would say for day trading that I found to be useful are going to be Ross Cameron and Iman Trading. Ross Cameron is sort of what I based the entirety of my day trading on. So I was trading the pre-market and I was trading the leading percentage gainers and just buying pullbacks on the way up, hopefully. And then, so I think that he provides some really digestible content in terms of scalping, and I think that the way that he presents his education material is really, really helpful. And then Iman Trading is just a very transparent YouTuber who has some sort of underground topics. Like he has a video on how price action is fractal, and that was pretty eye opening for me. But I think that both of these creators are a little bit of a needle in a haystack in terms of trading content on YouTube, and they don't feel as jaded as the rest of the space does. So yeah, I would say that these two are very valuable resources here. So as far as day trading goes, I had some beginner's luck with this that was almost to a fault. You can see my daily P&L wasn't even bad, but at the time I didn't understand. I didn't understand risk management. I was really emotional and volatile, and I didn't even know how to track stocks. Like all of this is on my phone notes app. I had no idea what I was doing. And this is sort of to a fault because I made a little bit of money and I was just sort of thinking like I'm gonna be a billionaire. Like it just seems so easy and so simple. And then eventually I just sort of started tumbling down and down and down. And in January, coming into the new year, I was looking at like my account started to look like this, where I was taking these huge losses, and I was just so emotional and so I was just trying to go into it so heavy, and so like this loss on OST was like a 20.5% loss. Like that's unfathomable. Like I can't even really believe that today. That's ridiculous. But I do remember like one specific session. I think it was on my birthday actually, where I went in really gung ho and ready to make back all the losses and make some money because it was my birthday, and I think it was the biggest single losing day that I had had up to that point, and that's sort of where I decided to call it quits. And I had so much pressure from my grandfather and my dad to stop day trading because I was losing so much money, and it just sort of like culminated in me being like, all right, this has to be done. And so the beginning of March 2025 is where I stopped day trading very concretely. So all of these losses down in here are basically from day trading. That's what these big pops and drops are from. And then if you can see this dip down in here, this is where the market really capitulated. It was during Trump's tariff announcement. So it's when all US stocks just really flushed down really hard. And so during this time I was really I had a lot of distrust in U.S. indexes, and I was holding some positions in QQQ and SCHG, I believe. And so I liquidated the entirety of my account sort of down here. And then when markets started rebounding and coming back up, I felt like I was missing the move. And so I was during this whole time I was looking into ways that other people were trading and investing into the stock market that was successful, that wasn't day trading, because I knew that that wasn't working for me. And so to save you some time in that regard, the really what sort of landed on was people like Mark Minervini, William O'Neill, Jesse Livermore, and Qullamaggie. Initially, I would say that these are still some really, really solid resources, and I think that swing trading is something that appealed to me more and more because it was just felt very or like it was a very applicable strategy. It made sense to me. It felt like you had some more time to make decisions, and it was very replicable. And then as far as resources go, I would say that the U.S. Investing Championships playlist on YouTube is really really cool. It's a really valuable resource. I would say that just about any trader could watch any video from that playlist and learn at least something. So yeah, I would say that that's a very valuable resource, and if you want to take a look at it, I would highly recommend it. And so April 17th of this year is going to be what marks my first ever swing trade. And it was basically this trade and then one trade back to back. And so you can see that here, Dollar General on 4/17/25. This is my first ever swing trade. And what's really interesting looking about this now is it's a very small trade, but it's a very good trade. I would I did almost nothing wrong here, and this is a setup that I would still take today. Learn a little bit more about my strategy and entry criteria and patterns that I'm looking for. But this is not a bad setup, and I feel really good about this to this day. But Carvana, on the other hand, is a trade that really doesn't make sense to me, and I wouldn't take the entry that I took, even though it was successful. But part of Qualamaggie's setup, who is sort of what I was trying to replicate at the time, is that he will book profit like 3 to 4 days in. And I know that that's sort of boiling it down, but I was looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and then we gapped down on this day, and I was holding 3 shares, and I got so scared by this gap down, I didn't understand bounces or gap down reversals or anything like that. So I sold two of the 3 shares that I had right there, and then we still continued to go up, and we had this huge red candle where I was like, yeah, that's it, I'm out. And then I think Carvana went on to trend up for another 40 some percent. So in a sense, this is like the one that got away a little bit. But it really sort of shifted the tables for me because I felt like there was a way to optimize that better. And Quallamaggie and the resources that I was consuming at the time were just really not providing the answers for that. So I just kept digging. So I sort of, while researching Dan Zanger, who has a really impressive return and really some really cool content on chartpattern.com, I sort of stumbled across Jack Corsellis, who is he's going to be the most powerful and pertinent source for the entire series. I think that he has the best trading content on YouTube. He has a lot of videos that go over in very, very detailed format the other traders' strategies and other successful swing traders' methodologies, and as well as his own. And I think that he's going to be the biggest. He played the biggest influence on my trading as a whole, and I think that he's going to be like flat out the best content that you can find in terms of trading on YouTube. And so he really influenced my trading in that regard. And then, so that brings us to present day. This is sort of an old chart, so I'm looking at about like 200-ish more dollars to the account, 200, 300. But so yeah, we're looking at the middle tail end of July, and we're looking at a pretty impressive return. This chart that you see here is straight from Fidelity. This is just my balance, so it's going to look a little bit inflated. This big gap in here, I didn't have just some like stellar day. This is a $1,000 deposit as another gift. But so this is just a little bit inflated. And then so I'll leave you here with my swing trading return as a percentage. This accounts for deposits or anything like that. So that's why you don't see like a huge gap or like a huge jump up in here. This is like the most accurate metric of my performance. So I'm going to end this video here. The next video is going to be talking about market basics and just a very foundational understanding of some terms and definitions that you need to know going forward, so I don't have to like sit and explain what a moving average is, for example, or something like that. So I would say that I'm really happy. I know that this video is just a lot of rambling, But I think it's important to contextualize where my trading comes from and sort of the evolution of my trading so that you can get that standpoint. And then, like I said, my spreadsheet will be available in the description, hopefully, and I'll add timestamps to this video and stuff. But I am going to wrap this up here. I'm really excited to make the rest of the series, and I hope that you guys enjoy it.